This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
And good morning, family. Hello there. Welcome to Another Side of Midnight with me, TJ McCormack, here on the Red Apple Audio Networks, broadcasting live from the studios of 77 WABC here in New York City, in Midtown, Chile. It's cold out there. It's November now. We're a couple of days away from Thanksgiving. We'll talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about our grateful lists. And, what we're looking at, we'll do that this morning, tomorrow morning, kind of ease into the first big week of the holiday season, and have a little fun with that. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. The lines are generally open for generally anything you ever really want to talk about, for sure. This week, there's so much going on in this world, just so much happening constantly that, it's funny. Anytime it seems like 5 times a year is National Daughters Day. And I don't know about it until I see everybody else posting photos of their daughters on Facebook and, Samantha, you're our one and only, and we love you, and our family full of boys. National Daughters Day reminds us that and I'm like, damn it. Okay. I'll get those couple of pictures of Millie and Trix. Okay. Hey, every day is National Daughters Day in my family. So it's one of those. So this Wednesday was International Men's Day. Which rhymes almost with Wednesday. It was international, and I didn't know about that really until about 15 minutes ago, which is perfect because I didn't really know what I was going to talk about until about 9 minutes ago. Make that 3. But so Wednesday was International Men's Day. And I guess one thing we can just sort of throw out there, because when I see these days, when I see these international commemoration or whatever, such and such day, Daughter Day, look, Mother's Day, Father's Day, get it. Okay, cool. Daughter's Day, National, Leg of Lamb Day, International, whatever. I don't know, internal combustion day. These commemoration days. First of all, do any of them hold any water with you? Do you care about any? I mean, they're not even Hallmark days. They're not the greeting card days are Mother's Day, Father's Day, and all of the actual holidays. I think it's just some sort of. I don't even see where anybody's making money on it. But if it's got to be there, if I have to be bothered with it, if I have to stub my toe on the fact that it was and I did look it up, and it started interestingly in Tobago. Well, I don't know if it was Trinidad I don't know if it was Trinidad or Tobago, but I believe they are 2 sovereign island nations that share an island. But anyway. On that island of Trinidad and Tobago is where this started. And now it's like 80 countries around the world. So in that vein, in what is the role of men, like in the best sense, in your life? What has it meant? The role of men, your role as a man, the role of your husband or your dad or your brother. Do you have a whole lot of different within my family? We've got all versions, all brands, all degrees of masculinity. We've got hyper. In my family, we've got hyper. I don't even want to give I don't want to give him any credit for the toxic masculinity references. I won't even say toxic, but we've got some true alpha males in our family. And in my family in particular, the alpha males have fallen flat on their faces. There's like one alpha male that my cousin, he's quite alpha, but he's a softie. He's a mush, but he's definitely got an alpha thing about him, and he plays it and wears it well. Anybody else, any of the other dudes in my family that I can remember and one in particular, is currently floundering beyond words. So, so you got the alpha male, you've got the beta, you've got the, you have the great role models. The male roles in my family, kind of, I don't know, just kind of meh. They're really, in my immediate and like sort of just secondary family, there's really no hyper focus on masculinity or femininity. But I don't know. My focus for something like International Men's Day, and this is one of the focuses when I looked it up. They said that, the mission statement, if you will, of International Men's Day was to talk about the roles of men in society and also looking out for their own individual well-being. And in that sense, one thing we know for sure is for about the last 10, 11, 12 years, we've been pretty damn well aware of an epidemic of depression and anxiety and addiction and suicide amongst men. I know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, I've never counted this. 6. I think I know 7. One from high school. 8. I might be, if I was to think for the next minute and a half, I bet you I come up with 9 and 10. But I can, just off the top of my pretty little head, I could think of 8 fellas that have taken themselves out. Most of them in the last 10 years. One was in high school, and the other 2, I'm pretty damn sure, were also kind of recent. But, yeah, just occurred to me. Anyway, so there's that, there's that. It's about how fellas handle adversity, how fellas handle how they're wired, and how we all should be, how the women in their lives do their best to look out for them, and also how fellas look out for other fellas. When we've got a couple of, my wife, is a dancer and owns a couple of dance academies. And, we recently got word, it's a very woman-centric place, right? And clearly it's a dance school. It happens where we'll find out such and such mom isn't doing good, just got a diagnosis, mom's, ovarian, or breast, And, these tend to be young women, right? With young children in dance classes. And, almost invariably when my wife will come home and tell me, oh, so-and-so, she's got a diagnosis, she's got to start treatment or whatever. My question is, one of the first questions I'll ask her, oh, how's her husband doing? How's cause guys, boy, when something happens to that woman we love, dirty little secret, ladies, when you do your routine and how you'll get it's no big deal, or seemingly comparatively to men. it's not as huge a massive deal when a woman is told, or at least in my experience, when women are told by their doctor, yeah, you know what, we see something we're not thrilled with, so we're going to have you come in and do a biopsy. We're going to do a biopsy. Okay, we're going to come in, do a biopsy. It goes on the calendar. It goes on the Google calendar in our family like, softball practice. And depending on exactly what it is, there will be a certain degree of trepidation or concern or none at all. When my wife gets those, directives from the doctor, any doctor she might be visiting that week, which is also part of the conversation here. Women go to the doctor as soon as they feel a slight sprain or a sping or a spoon or a thing or a ugh. It's bang, doctor. Guys could be depositing different colored fluids in any given time, day, or place, and we'll walk it off. We'll wait it out. We will wait out discolored this, or really swollen that, or painful those. We'll wait it out. We'll walk it off. We'll do our own second opinion. Thank you. Unless and until it falls off. And so, but here's the little secret. When you women go to that doctor's appointment, we remember. We do know. And if we don't say, hey, good luck at the doctor today, or hey, do you need to be picked up, or hey, hope it all goes well. If we don't say that, it's because we're scared out of our minds. And we are hoping and praying harder and longer than you that you're okay. Because honestly, I really think International Men's Day is all about the women in our lives. It's all about the women in our lives because that's what we live for. Generally speaking, the straight men in the audience. The gay men in the audience, we're doing everything for, listen to me. Oh my God. Did I just give up the baby? The gay men in the audience, hey, the gay men are doing it for their partner. It's the same thing because we're nothing without them. So 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Not the sexiest of subjects, certainly not the usual goofy falderall that we engage in, but it's what struck me. And, because we've had these things, we've had these, moments where men are being men. And yes, in my house, absolutely, there's that gender role. And absolutely, there's the good cop, bad cop. And absolutely, there are the Lucy and Ricky moments. Andy, did you see the engine light come on in your Volvo? How did Ricky Ricardo just become a German prison camp officer? Did you see? Babalu, was ist dies? We have that. I know the cars. She doesn't. She gets all the bills paid. I don't. I can drive for days and days and days without a break. She really needs to slow it down after, 40 minutes in the car. She's cold at the drop of a dime. I can hang in there. I can go without eating. She needs to snack. Don't give me water. She wants to hydrate. And, so there's definitely some typical gender roles in my family, in my marriage, in my home with my 2 teenage daughters now, which I experienced full on today. Today was Dad shut up day. Today was Dad stay shut up day. Today was Dad stay the hell out of the way of the three women in your world stay out of the way. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to know you. Don't even tell you where the gender role. And by the way, this is a good one. This is a bit more like us. 1-800-848-9222. What are the gender roles that are flipped in your relationship? What are the gender roles that are flipped in your relationship? And does cooking count? I wonder these days if the fella does more of the cooking, if that's not becoming more traditional. What with outdoor kitchens and such. Anyway, so we're going to get into more fun stuff, more silly stuff. There's definitely a whole ton of ink on my notes here. A whole bunch of ink. I don't know if you can hear that. It's in blue and purple. It's in purple. But International Men's Day from Wednesday struck me. And, I'm also going to tell you a little bit about the fake men out there and a recent, kerfuffle in New Jersey involving, naked men, in front of women. And how they think they're going to get away with it. All right. 1-800-848-9222. Talk about what it's like to be a dude these days and dealing with adversity and when your wife gets sick and how do you handle it? And boy, oh boy, you know, how many times do you ever hear when a long-time married couple, when someone dies, when the wife dies first, that fella is very often not very far behind. Simply from a broken heart. My buddy's a funeral director, talks about it all the time. Timmy will tell you, men die sometimes on their 1-year anniversary. That happens a lot. Fellas, just our hearts break. We love you so much. We love you. We know you save our life. My wife saved mine directly. Anyway, 1-800-848-9222. Men and women, women and men. It's International Men's Day was the other day. And so we're talking about gender roles and are your gender roles in your family reversed, flipped, or have they been changing recently? In the last few years. We'll talk about that and other things here on Another Side of Midnight, all around the country on the Red Apple Audio Networks, 1-800-848-9222.
All night long, this is Another Side of Midnight
with TJ McCormack.
77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormack.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC.
Here's TJ McCormack.
I pushed for Radar Love, and they were like, I'm talking about Mr. Katz, Chad Lopez. They were all saying, but dude, you are, Tony and Bill, everybody was really pushing me and saying, TJ, look, this song is you. It's about you, macho man. You're a tough guy. You take all comers. You never roll over. You've got that real alpha male thing about you. And I was like, no, I like Radar Love. And they're like, man, but it is so you. And I'm like, I know. Thank you. Thank you. And it has nothing to do with the fact that, the Village People were an iconic gay, music group. That had nothing to do with why everybody thought it should be my theme song. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. And, you know, the gender roles and I tell you, I think they have actually, and here's an interesting flip. Okay. I'm trying to think of a way to articulate this. Used to be, the feeling was amongst guys, dudes, say like over the last 15, 20 years, we felt like we were being pushed aside, right? There was a stretch there where men, and look, it's not like we're not, but straight white males were being pushed aside. taken for granted, the butt of the joke. You watch sitcoms, you watch commercials. The dad was always the brunt of the joke, was always the punchline. Sitcoms, the Disney Channel was one sitcom after another of a bumbling dad who couldn't control his kids and little brainiac children who were outsmarting their parents, especially their father. And a lot of people were kind of thinking that when this epidemic kicked around in the last 10 years or so of men being marginalized and stigmatized and ostracized and, that was where a lot of this depression, anxiety, addiction was coming from. We were feeling really, crapped on. And the stresses of life and the availability of different things. Oh, that reminds me of something else I wanted to talk about. That's right. Okay, that's right. And now, you know what's interesting? After half a century of really bombastic and sometimes, gross, very often awkward and not an inappropriate feminism, all of a sudden, women are being absolutely screwed. Women and young girls are being marginalized, stigmatized, pushed aside, taken for granted, and very often by women. By women. You've got just as many women standing up for trans athletes. You got just as many women standing up for these trans terrorists and these trans activists and all of these mentally ill men identifying, or not even identifying, just getting their kicks, parading about in front of women and young girls in female safe spaces, let alone what they're doing to girls' sports. And an example of that happened in New Jersey. And I know I was on the forefront of I had a front row seat to a real down and dirty battle in a political arena. No pun intended. A woman named Gina Arena was doing hand-to-hand combat in a race for New York State Senate during an election a calendar year ago, when here in New York State, Proposition 1 was on the ballot. That was basically upending all social norms and was absolutely opening every locker room door and every changing room door and every other portal to women's and girls' safe spaces, let alone the total destruction of girls' scholastic sports. And so it's interesting that after 50 years of men really being broadsided, whoa, another pun, not intended, now all of a sudden it's women who are being kicked aside, and and there are so many liberal leftist Democrat women who are helping to push these women aside. And I'm going to get to Steve and John in a moment there, but here is the story from New Jersey. A popular Korean spa, and by the way, Gina Arena remains, she's now a councilwoman in Somers, New York, and she remains a vital voice for women and girls and families who are very often voiceless. She remains a hero to women and moms, especially when it comes to obtaining services for developmentally disabled and intellectually challenged and other disabled young adults. And so she was a formidable voice for women and girls in that race. And now as a councilwoman, she's going to be doing more of the same. Her name is Gina Arena. Watch for her. A popular Korean spa in New Jersey, is from the New York Post, where nudity is compulsory, will now let transgender women, biological males, use the female-only section. Now, these are Korean spas. This is not a dirty proposition. This is not a naughty place. This is like families go. I forget the name of. I know in Japan. Yeah, I know in Japan it's called an onsen. I forget what it's called in Korea, but it's over there in Palisades Park, New Jersey, just over the George Washington Bridge from Manhattan. And it's a very, very, very Korean, intense, population. And so here we go. So we'll now let let men use the female only section, even if they still have male equipment and this is because the Korean spa was slapped with a lawsuit. King Spa in Palisades Park recently changed its policies after it was sued by a man for refusing to let him use the female facilities, despite him still having male anatomy. That's why I'm using him, according to court documents obtained by the Post. Under the change, which apparently is not completely happening. Oh, I'm sorry. Under the change, the spa's policy now clearly states that any guest may use the locker room that aligns with the gender identity displayed on their government or state-issued photo ID. How's that for the chickens coming home to roost for a feel-good law or a few laws in New Jersey, you dopes, and New York, you idiots? If any spa goer is uncomfortable with sharing facilities with a man pretending to be a woman who may have different the policy states the customer can either request a private spa or give up use of the communal facilities going forward. In other words, F you. In other words, and by the way, understand these Korean spas, I know of them from Los Angeles. I lived there. These Korean spas, it's not, like I said, families go there. Women bring their daughters to these spas and enjoy them. Used to be they enjoyed them safely. That's why they call it a safe space, a formerly safe space. The changes were made after the customer, Alexandra Gobert. How much you want to bet that's the former Alexander? How much do you want to bet that's Alexander? Filed a suit in 2022 following an incident when she alleged she was booted from the facility, complaining about having to use the male-only spa and so on. Real quick, there's more to that. We're going to get to it. Let's get over to Steve in Manhattan. Good morning. Welcome to another side of midnight, Steve. Ding dong. Esteban, you there? No, Steve? Okay, let's go to John of the Bronx. John of the Bronx, line 2. Good morning, John.
Good morning. You touched on something very briefly. I mean, in addition to, the screwed up gender roles of men and women, but, you mentioned feminism, and there's one very brilliant critique of feminism and how it's corroded modern society. It's called Sexual Utopia in Power by Roger Devlin.
Okay.
And he points out that, basically feminism has really gotten a lot of women into a very peculiar situation whereby, yes, feminism has enabled women to enjoy broader economic freedom.
Sure.
And broader economic autonomy. But at the same time, that economic autonomy has come at the cost of having a greater difficulty in finding mates to form families among men.
Wow.
Because what happened, and it really happened during interestingly enough, Devlin points out it happened during the Reagan administration that women started entering the workforce in very massive numbers. And what it had the effect of diluting the labor pool and driving wages down. So it made it more difficult for men to support families with a stay-at-home wife, even if they wanted to do that.
Right.
But what you have now, you have the women in the workforce. Yes, they're earning their own paychecks, but they're refusing to marry men who in many cases make less than they do.
Right. Wow. Woof. This is fascinating. Okay. Sexual Utopia. And what's the name of the author again?
Sexual Utopia in Power. And the name of the author is Roger Devlin. Roger
Devlin. Boy, he's a smart dude. That's fascinating. Okay. I'm going to have to look into that. And again, it's one of those things where, there has to be these extremes. There has to be these major overcorrections, for some reason. And so often that comes from, I imagine, based on my experience from what I've seen, and granted, I'm a conservative, and so I see things slightly skewed. And very often, so many of these overcorrections, like, in the last few years, we've been talking about DEI and handing out jobs and promotions and other things, for reasons other than merit, and places in schools. And, seats in universities, etc. So these manufactured, contrived overcorrections, because they're contrived and not organic, they end up having unwanted and deleterious effects on society.
Sure.
Yeah.
And another negative consequence is that, women are conditioned to only marry or aspire to marry men at the very top of the economic food chain. But again, that leaves so many bachelors that would like to start families, but women are refusing, especially professional women are refusing to marry men who are below the socioeconomic class that they occupy.
Right.
So again, there are a lot of men out there who would love to start families, but women are increasingly refusing to marry men who are below them in terms of educational and economic attainment. And women already dominate many professional fields.
Yeah.
White collar occupations, and it's getting worse.
And what does Devlin say? What does Devlin predict is the outcome of this, or the impact down the road? Like, does he say what the ramifications are going to be going forward?
Well, he predicts a resurrection of traditional values, which is a very good prognosis.
That's a good thing.
Insofar as that he says that basically the longer term outcome of feminism is that the women who adopt feminism, ironically enough, these women who all aspire to marry only the top 1% of guys, many of these feminist women, they end up not reproducing. They end up not having children of their own.
Well, looking at some of them, that's not exactly. I'm sorry, that was cheap. I just totally lowered the tenor and the sophistication of this conversation. Go on. I'm sorry.
Right. You got a good point there, though.
Yeah. You take a good look at them banging a drum at a protest. You say, sweetheart, you know what? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, John.
But basically, ironically enough, the women who adopt feminism overwhelmingly, they end up not reproducing. It's one of the reasons why the birth rate in Western countries has gone down below the toilet, below the replacement level.
Wow.
Because, again, it's had a deleterious effect, as you mentioned, on demographics. The populations in Western countries are shrinking. In feminism is one of the biggest reasons for that trend. But Devlin predicts that, basically the women who adopt feminism are not going to reproduce, and the women who buck the trend and defy feminist ideology and defy feminist trends are the women who are going to give birth to the next generation of leaders.
Wow. And
they're the ones who are going to pass on traditional Western values to those children. And the long-term effect, ironically enough, again, is going to be that women in Western countries will be more resistant to feminist ideals and more family-oriented than they otherwise would have been without the advent of feminism. That's what he predicts.
Wow. Well, and look, I mean, you do start to feel that there is a correction coming. You do get the sense that this 80-20, 90-10 issue of trans in women's safe spaces and all that has done a lot to, spur the subject and move things again back into a correction here. And, it seems like, the country is pushing back on these ridiculous notions. And also the recent spate of violence that's come at the hands of this new brand of domestic terrorism coming from whether they're trans themselves or trans advocates or whatever. It seems that people are starting to and plus the number of activists who are starting to refer to so many of these examples of trans people as the mental illness that it is in so many of those cases. The number of people, a dear buddy of mine is a brain expert. He's a real, true, absolute, and he's told me, just the two of us sitting there, having coffee, that, people that would, 10, 20, 15, 30, 40 years ago would have been referred for, mental evaluation and treatment are now being, just coddled and enabled right through the process of transitioning. And, and he says that the numbers, of people who really truly are candidates. And there's a regular caller to, Rita Cosby's show, Christine from Connecticut, who is a real great resource on this as who is a trans woman, is one of those people that, like Jenner and a few others, took years and years and years of therapy and trials and tribulations and panels and questions and interrogations and therapy and all of this stuff before they took one drug, let alone went under one scalpel. Yeah. So it's a big crazy world out there. I don't know, man. John, thank you so much for raising the level well beyond my capacity. I appreciate it. And I want to see if I can't get Roger Devlin on the show. That'd be a cool conversation. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. We're going to take a break here on Another Side of Midnight. I'm TJ McCormack. This is the Red Apple Audio Network.
All night long. This is Another Side of Midnight
with TJ McCormack.
77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormack.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC.
Here's TJ McCormack.
51 minutes past the hour here on Another Side of Midnight. I'm TJ McCormack. This is the Red Apple Audio Networks all around the country, broadcasting from Midtown East in Manhattan, live and local right into your local station. And but definitely here live with Tony and Bill and talking to you, 1-800-848-9222, talking about gender roles and men and women and, and how one gets marginalized, the other gets marginalized, and it's just not okay. And look, man, hey, I'm a dad, I'm a girl dad. I've got two stunning and unbelievable, impressive young women, in my world, and my wife, who is the strongest, toughest, take no crap, broad. She knows that that's a compliment. She loves referring to herself as a tough broad. She is a tough broad, man. And, she can hang with the baddest of them. And that's what makes her so amazing. And so, yeah, I'm all about the rights, and and I tell you what, by the way, this insanity gone crazy nuts. Okay. So we've got this Korean spa in New Jersey that is caved. God willing, this thing gets knocked down in other courts. But this, if you're just joining, there's a Korean spa that has a men's side and a women's side, and it's a Korean, like a cultural bathhouse. It's a thing that's like an ancient ritual in Korea and other parts of Asia. Japan has their onsens and these, communal, places. There's places like this even in Manhattan and Queens. We've got them. Anyway, these are places where families go. They make a day of it. I've never been, but I think my wife went with some girlfriends once. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a family thing, and the women take the girls on one side, and the men will go with the boys on the other side, and boopity boopity boop, and everybody's naked and whatever, and it's a thing. And then this trans shows up, and all 21st century hell breaks loose, and now, of course, files a lawsuit, zoppity boop, and next thing you know, this spa in New Jersey bends the knee. And now is making special rules for the women's side. That's at a big, major facility, commercial facility in New Jersey. Where I live in my community, I don't want to say it's not a gated community, but in my whatever, housing, private community, whatever. It's not gated, but you could call it that, but it's not gated. There's no gate. You can just drive in. But where I live, we have a HOA, homeowners association, and we have a couple of pools and things in the summertime and whatever. Well, I mentioned this a couple of months ago on the show. But a couple of months ago, as I told y'all, this one day, and I happened to be there. My wife and daughters, blessedly, were in England with my wife's family. And I was there sunning my very pale self, on like a July day. And an old lady comes in. There's a lot of old couples and older people in this area. This old lady comes into the pool area with clearly a dude in a bikini. Middle-aged, 43, and not in transition. This is not a trans. This is a guy in a bikini. I've definitely told this story before, and I apologize if any of the regulars remember this, but this guy, and he had a shaved head, so, no long hair, no nothing there, no boobs in development, and clearly still had everything that God gave him at birth, because he was wearing a little tiny thong bikini bottom and a bikini top. And this guy was not just being and living his best life. This guy was not seeking a normal, quiet existence and just whatever, going about his business. This guy was just not right. And this guy was making it a point to be seen by as many people as possible. He was preening and peacocking, no pun intended. And he was all over the place, and there were little kids there, and the kids could not stop staring. And the little old ladies were taken aback. And some of the alpha males were starting to crack their knuckles and get a little concerned because they saw what the little kids were doing, and they saw how the what. And so a big kerfuffle ensued. Here come, somebody called security, somebody called the cops. Because again, this wasn't something where it was a guy. And so that's the part A. Since I told you guys that story, and now that I've refreshed your memory, there is now a part B. There's now a part B to this story. It hasn't been resolved, but the Homeowners Association, where I live with my wife and 2 daughters, they've made a determination. And so when we come back after the top of the hour break, I will tell you where the Homeowners Association has landed on how they're going to handle this fella in a thong and others who are potentially, I guess, actual trans people. I'll tell you what they've determined after consulting with lawyers. I'll tell you what they're doing, and I'll tell you the crazy twist that has to do with what's going to happen in the women's locker room and the men's locker room. I'll give you an interesting little insight as to just how crazy this is. And it's all written on the walls. I'll tell you about that when we come back. It's Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack here on the Red Apple Audio Network's 1-800-848-9222. We shall return. Lots to talk about.
It's Another Side of Midnight, 77 WABC. This is Another Side of Midnight
with TJ McCormack.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC.
Here's TJ McCormack.
right. Good morning once again, family. How are y'all? 7 minutes past the hour. I'm TJ. This is Another Side of Midnight on the Red Apple Audio Networks all around the country. And we're talking about a few things. We got plenty more to get to, but we're talking about it was International Men's Day this week, and just talking about gender roles and men and women. And I'm curious if I was asking if anybody out there has got some pronounced or decidedly flipped traditional gender roles in your home, and talking about how men rely on women and women support men in so many ways, in so many underrated ways, And then we got into a little bit about the trans thing, and that's just getting so unbelievably obnoxious, clearly on so many levels. And so there was this story from earlier in the week in New Jersey, where a Korean spa that has separate facilities for men and women was about to allow trans people to do as they wished and come in. Mainly, we're talking about, obviously, biological men showing up to invade women's and young girls' safe spaces in this spa where people of the genders are normally separated, and there is culturally acceptable nudity amongst the separated genders. Men with men, women with women. And now biological men were going to be. So, in telling that oft-repeated story around the country, I had a very, very similar experience in my private community, whatever, in Westchester County this summer, and suburb of New York City. And there was a day in the middle of July when a guy showed up with his, pretty damn sure I didn't, and yes, I did eventually learn, with his mom, his elderly mom, who was seemingly just kind of clueless as to what the hell her son was up to. Or why he was up to what he was up to, because he was wearing a bikini. And he's not in transition. He had all the bells and whistles that he was born with. All the accoutrement. He had a shaved head. He had like hair on his chest. No fledgling boobs. And he still had everything, which was obvious to the entire world, because he's wearing a bikini. A thong bikini. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. Anyway. In very short order, a bunch of very liberal women on the board of this community, of this private development, it's a big one, decided that they would consult with lawyers, and then they consulted with lawyers, and they made up their own damn rules, and they said that this man could, in fact, and will, in fact, use the women's, not bathroom, locker room, where my wife and daughters go to change and sometimes shower. Sometimes we'll go from the pool, like right out to dinner. The girls will bring a change of clothes and all their shampoo and conditioner and all that stuff, and they will get ready for, summertime, whatever, informal. No, we're not going to the country club from there, but And they deemed it, once again, the women are going to just take it. They are going to they're not going to marginalize men. They're going to marginalize women and young girls. And they're going to let this guy, who again is not just quietly going about his life and just quietly seeking acceptance and this guy is not transitioning. This guy is nuts. He's out of, no pun intended. I have been punning all night unintentionally. This guy is out of his mind. And he is being enabled, and he is being delivered to these women. And here's the kicker. This is the kicker I promised you. In the men's locker room, there is a sign on the wall. And that sign says that it is inappropriate, and I agree, by the way, with this, but it says, ironically, it says it is inappropriate to walk around the men's locker room naked because children of all ages use the locker room. Okay? In the men's room. And this is part of a bit of a cliche joke where, yeah, men of a certain generation do have a habit of walking around way too naked for way too long in way too many instances in way too many locker rooms. There are those guys who are just naked. They put one foot up on the bench. They have a conversation. They dry every part of their body. They wind their watch. They pick their toenails. They clean between their toes. All this conversations about everything way too naked for the entire time. It's like, it's a cliche and it's true. And so that's the impetus for that sign being on the wall. However, ain't this just something? Ain't this just grand? That on one side of this building, there's a men's locker room where men are not supposed to walk around naked in front of men. And on the other side of the building is the women's locker room where men are going to be allowed to walk in where women and girls are changing. And they will be allowed to change also. Men allowed to change in the women's locker room, while on the other side there's a sign expressly forbidding men from being naked too long in the men's room. 1-800-848-9222. What in the sweet feathery Jesus is wrong with the dopey leftist women who are jeopardizing the well-being, the emotional well-being, and sometimes the physical safety of other women, and most egregiously, young girls? Because I'm telling you right now, it was a woman on this homeowners association who made this decree. 1-800-848-9222. Silas in Staten Island. Morning, Silas.
Yeah. I think we're finally seeing the situation here. Mm-hmm. The words law and order, all of this is about disturbing the order that the American society had. And they want to do everything they can to upset it.
Yep.
There's nobody who loves sex more than me. But I don't need to put it out in the street.
Right.
And I don't need to put it in front of children.
Right.
They're making sure they destroy every part of order that's in our society.
Yep.
So I'm really wondering if we make it past that 250. Most societies make it to about 250 years. Huh. If we can make it to 300 years, we'll make it to 1,000. But we are at that point, that tipping point.
We're at the precipice, aren't we? We really are.
That was good for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with you, man.
Everything that was good for our society, they're trying to destroy.
When do you think it started? When do you think, what was it? Was it coming out? I mean, was it coming out? Was it the coming out of Vietnam? Was it civil rights? Was it 9/11?
9/11 was leading up to it. Finding out that things will tolerate. This has been going on for over 40 years. Every other society that is basically envious and jealous of what we have in America, they know you can't go toe-to-toe with America.
Right.
Bullets to bombs. You can't. You'll be wiped out.
Right.
They knew they had to do it from within. When you said a woman was the one who did this.
Yep.
Because they went after the emotional.
Yep.
And I don't care who doesn't believe it. Women are emotional more than men.
Yeah.
So you see all the people who are accepting this are 80% women.
Yep.
Who voted for Mandami, who are going for this trans stuff. And so each, you don't have just China trying to destroy us. You have all different societies trying to destroy us.
And it's the path of least resistance. And it's the path of least resistance. That's why they're succeeding. Because you know what? It's interesting. You said they're doing it from the inside, right? And here's the other inside. And this is something that I'm dealing with in my town. And we're finding it happening in a lot of other towns. And that is this. They are at the hyper local level. They are trying to infect, or they are not trying. They are succeeding in infecting our kids. And it's not because leftists are showing up and running for mayor. Leftists are not subversives aren't showing up and running for town council. They're running for the school board. And they're winning. Yeah. And in my town, we've got a guy in my town that a lot of people believe, and I'd love to, if anybody's ever heard of this same sort of thing, where there's a real pattern out there in a lot of different communities, a lot of different conservative communities. I live in one of a very few Republican majority towns. And this guy showed up from out of nowhere, moved into town, ran for the school board. He lost. Then he ran again and he won. After only living here for a few years, guy moved in from Brooklyn. There's a lot of people that say that George Soros and other people are recruiting and placing people in school boards all around the country.
Well, they are. It's easy to see. Like I say, just everything from the mayor on down. They're looking. They're finding the most subversive people, most radical people. And then they're recruiting them and putting them in office. You notice how 20 years ago, you would be ostracized if you went after blacks or Jews. Now, it's almost fashionable to go after Jews.
Yeah.
And then after they take down the Jews, it's going to be either toxic, or what they say, toxic Christians, and then they'll go after the blacks. And each group that they take down, like they say, they came for the Catholics, then they came for the Jews, then when they came for me, there was no one to protect me. That's what they're doing. They're taking the society down piece by piece. And you know what? If we don't stand back and resist it, then we're going to be taken down just like every other society. You saw how fast Venezuela went.
Right, Gonzville. Silas, once again, man, you always bring it. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it, Silas, as always. It's 3:21 here on the East Coast, and 21 minutes past the hour everywhere. That's how it works. Isn't that interesting? 1-800-848-9222. We're going to take a quick break, come back, talk to Linda, Joe, everyone else, and you, as we talk about a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on in these. It's not going away. This trans thing is not going away. It's only getting worse. But we got to start pushing back, and we got to. And all I know is everybody involved in this thing at my community's pool this summer, they were all very lucky. My wife was with my girls across the ocean and not there that day. It would have not been pretty. All right. 1-800-848-9222. It's another side of midnight. Me, TJ McCormack on the Red Apple Audio Networks. We'll be right back.
All night long. This is another side of midnight
with TJ McCormack.
77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormack.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC.
Here's TJ McCormack.
It is 26 minutes past the hour as we talk about this thorny issue, and I think it's gonna reach a critical mass in certain areas, in certain places, and it's gonna take courts to knock down these ridiculous lawsuits. And somebody's gotta file now. Unfortunately, it's gonna take somebody filing a suit against the this spa, and hopefully in my community against my homeowners association. Or it's going to get ugly. You know, it's going to get ugly. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222, talking about men and women's locker rooms, biological males in girls sports. I mean, it's becoming a conversation I think we're all weary of having, but every once in a while it just comes right back again, and it's damn important to flesh it out. Again, no pun intended. Let's get over to Linda on line 3 with a female perspective on this. Good morning, Linda.
Hello.
Hi.
I would like to say, well, I was raised in the 50s, and I raised my son in the 90s, and the schools were already having problems then. But
really?
I would like to say that I think that men belong at work, women belong in the kitchen, and at best, raising their own children and protecting them from the sexualization of children at school, and even toys like the new teddy bear that talks about sex. Could you imagine buying a teddy bear for your little child and find out your little teddy bear is talking to your kid about sex?
Oh my God.
Also queer gender theory in school. What kind of a subject is queer gender theory? Well, I'll tell you, it's sheer pornography, and traumatized one young woman with a very explicit, XXX pornography. I was raised in the 50s, but in the 60s, I transitioned into, I never thought I was really programmed by the women's movement, never thought I'd have a child, never thought I'd get married. And, and I became a nurse, and I got a profession, and I just never thought I'd get married. And then my biological clock kicked in at 31. And I decided, I'm having a child, I couldn't help that biological clock. It went off like an alarm clock for sure.
Wow. And so you were actually at one point a bit of a feminist yourself.
Absolutely. I was totally convinced. I mean, the left had me totally convinced. Everything that was going on in the 60s was telling us not to get married. The world was overpopulating. We're hitting a population crisis. And,
was that part of the conversation back then too? A population crisis, Linda?
Oh, God, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. And, we shouldn't be having children, and we should go to work. And be, support ourselves and be totally independent. And I think what's going on today, and I think that affects women, this has been a transition, and it's still going on. And, the shame of it is they've really left men out of the conversation.
Yes. And
men are they're the everything. They're the foundation. They build the buildings, they build the ships, they go to war. They clean the sewers. They do all the heavy work. Men are the best of the two sexes. It's got to be the male.
Oh my Lord! Wow. Now you see. Now, as a dude, I would say that I think that
I'm turning you on, right?
Well, I don't. I'm suddenly, my brow is a bit, I'm a bit sweaty. No, Linda, it's interesting because I look at my wife as having, and a lot of women, as having a certain skill set, emotionally, intellectually, that now, yes, men, when the going gets tough in certain ways, we respond, we protect, we hunt, we gather, etc.
Yeah.
Women, and yet at the same time, fellas don't respond well to certain emotional situations, and we run from realities in some cases. And women are there, and they can be the stabilizing force in a family when tough times happen, when there's loss, when there's strife. Very often the woman is the one who, is the nurturer and tells everybody, to just sort of take a break, and can almost be a bit of a buffer for the male when he wants to get a little too alpha in a situation. She can soothe the savage beast.
I do believe that we are partners.
Yes.
And each has its own kind of attributes. But I do think that men today, there are a lot of men that can't really live up to being a man. It's just too much for them. And it is a lot of work. I mean, being a man, having all that stress, having to go to work and bring home the money, bring home the bacon for the whole family, and have a lot of responsibilities. And I think it's just too much for a lot of men today. And I think they're really caving into just wanting to be women and being taken care of.
I tell you what, Marianne, I got to admit, there are times when I say, geez, I've got to man up here. I've got to, and I have to go out of my comfort, and I have to go out of my comfort zone, because, there are some things that I'm not good at. And sometimes I surprise myself, and I do find myself, living up to what my role in the family needs to be, And I do find that as a source of pride, and I do give myself credit when it's due. But no, for sure, the roles are definitely for the genders. I think when a relationship is right and a family is in the right trajectory, the genders are complementary of one another. The strong suits of each tend to enhance the other, and, yeah. And so let me ask you this. So you raised a son. You have a son?
I have one son.
Okay. And so did your life experience, inform how you raised your son? I mean, if you don't mind my asking, I mean, how did that all work out? I assume he's in his 40s?
No, he's in his 30s.
Oh, he's in his 30s.
Mid-30s, yeah.
Okay, mid-30s.
Well, it turns out that, because I started reading late myself, at 7. My mother didn't teach me, how to read before I went to school, so I learned along with everybody. This was typical of the 50s. I learned to read in the first grade when I was 7 years old already. And I found out that to be kind of a certain influence in my life, that I'm more visually inclined, I'm more vibrationally inclined, more spiritually inclined. So with my son, I decided, well, I think it would be better if I acclimated him more to more worldly things. So I taught him the total alphabet at 6 months. He was reading the diaper bag before 3. He was saying, Mom, what's a 20-pound capacity? I mean,
wow.
It turns out he has an IQ of 150. He's very, very smart. I taught him to read. He was reading to all the little children on the porch at 5 years old, fluently, the newspaper. The kids, and I told him, I said, you're the only one that could read that newspaper, don't you? Ooh. And he goes, oh, Mom, that's ridiculous. No.
Linda, what does he do for a living, generally speaking?
Basically, he fools around with internet. He takes care of us because we're kind of like old people now, so he stays home.
Right.
He couldn't really get, he was going to go into computer. He has his degree in computer science. He didn't really go into the field because all the illegal aliens already took up most of that that thing. And so basically he decided to really stay home with us and take care of us in our old dotage.
All right.
And he does. Wow. He makes money on Bitcoin. He makes money on the internet.
All right.
So he does his own thing.
Good for him.
But I think men today, the men today that are going that are turning into females. I just don't think they could handle being a man.
No.
That's my personal opinion.
Well done.
It's a hard job. I saw my father sweat it out, trying to make a living, trying to bring home the bacon.
Right.
It's not easy.
No.
It's not an easy. Men have it the hardest.
Linda, thank you so much. Hey, on a good night, I guess. Anyway, sorry, I couldn't let the pun go by. Thank you, Linda. 1-800-848-9222. We're all weighing in on this, and I do dig this.
'Cause I'm a woman. Anjali. I can bring on the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never let you forget you're a man.
Give her Anjali, the 8-hour perfume for that 24-hour woman.
I can work till 5 o'clock, come home and read your tickety-tock.
Tonight I'm going to cook for the kids.
And if it's loving you one, I can kiss you and give you the shivering fit.
Okay, a commercial. When was the last time gender roles were so defined that a commercial was basically saying, I'll give you love and I'll give you the shivers. I'm going to give you goodness. And the guy's like, I'll cook dinner tonight, honey. And she's like, great. And we're going to have incredible sex because you're going to cook dinner. Let me tell you something. I do most of the cooking in my family. So I need my rest. Anyway, 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848. I should be singing that song. I can bring home the bacon.
Anjali, the 8-hour perfume for your 24-hour woman.
By the way, remember that commercial. I remember Anjali was a perfume. And then there was also, do you remember the canoe commercial? C, come on over. A, alone. N, now. What was O?
Well, didn't it have flags? It was like in the boat, the flags, yeah.
It was the semaphore flags that made out the word canoe. And it was canoe. It was something like that. It was like canoe. C, come on over. A, alone. N, now.
The canoe message.
Oh.
It's spelled C. Come on
same
over.
Same guy. This is the same voiceover.
A, alone. N, now. O.
Okay.
E, etc. The man's cologne from Dana. Wear it. She'll get the message.
Oh
my God.
C-A-N-O-E.
Canoe.
Let me tell you something. I would have had a very hard time being a consumer in the 70s because I don't think I was confident and I wouldn't have been confident enough in my masculinity. I think I would have run away giggling from that. I remember that commercial. That commercial made me what little bit of a man I am today. Canoe. That's right. Etc. In other words, we can't tell you the rest of what's going to happen because of this cologne, which you can buy at the cash register at, Walgreens. That's not, that was cheap stuff back then. And then you had, what was it? Old Spice. Yeah.
Forget about Brute.
Oh, Brute by Fabergé.
And Aramis.
Aramis. And you had, Brute. Oh my God, Brute. And, you could always tell, it's funny. There were like 3 scents out there for dudes. And it was like Brute. You'd smell Brute at church. And you'd also smell, musk. You'd smell, Brute by Fabergé and Jovan musk. You'd smell that at church too. Usually the guys that wore musk would wear brown. And the guys, they wore brown. There's a lot of brown, like Jim Rockford, like brown, all different shades of brown. Remember go to church and the guys wearing like a brown shirt and like a brown check jacket and like tan slacks and brown shoes. And the guys who would wear canoe would wear like blue blazers and like, gray slacks or, Tad Sadsbell slacks. They'd splash on that canoe or they'd splash on that Brute. Aquavelva that was the blue stuff. That actually smells pretty good. in a pinch, if I, like, gun to my head, if I had to, like, make up for the stuff that I wear from London, my fancy schmancy, if I had to like run to CVS and get something in a pinch, it would be Aqua Velva. That's good stuff. But boy, oh boy, that was overt sexy stuff. I can bring on the bacon. I remember that. Let's see. We've got Marianne. Let's go to Joe in North Jersey. Joe. Hello. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, TJ. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Light and clear. Great. I was just going to have 3 points about the trans stuff.
Great.
I grew up 72 plus, child of the summer of love, 69, all that hippie stuff. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, I was just thinking about the 60s, naturally. We're coming up with the JFK, and I was in 6th grade, and we just saw the girls crying in 6th grade, and, of course, something happened November 22nd. I think it was, 63?
Yep.
And that was the day. It changed a lot of
Dallas.
people's lives. Mm-hmm. We lost Camelot. Anyhow, 3 things about the...
Wait a minute. Is that today?
That's tomorrow, today, whatever
today, it's
weekend.
This morning. Oh, wow. Today. That's right. Today is the 22nd. Today is the anniversary of JFK's assassination.
62, yeah, I was 10.
Oh, my, 63. Sure. Wow. Okay, go on ahead. I'm sorry. Just realized today is the 22nd. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, 3 things
yes.
that I think changed the women as opposed to men being, transing and everything. There's a new take on the word transparent, right? Transparents. Anyhow, 3 things changed. The pill, the bra-burning girls, women who wanted to burn their bras and, take them off, and women's, take this, not liberation, but liberalism. Women's liberalism took over those years, and that's what I think changed a lot of, they wanted more money, equal pay, and of course the pill. I mean, women had control of, they had to worry about being pregnant if they had sex, of course, and they were always in trouble. The guy never gets in trouble. So when the pill came out, women had freedom. Look at how much freedom do you need other than, and continue on that thought. And, I'm a 73. I can't believe what's going on. The more I live, the more I wonder why can't the people in Congress controlling the power, can't they stop war? Can't they stop things? But no, we continue on. Here's a quick thing I thought of as a little, what is it? E-I-E-I-O. Well, I changed that to A-I-A-I. Oh, boy. Old McBiden had a computer. A-I-A-I-O.
Oh, boy.
That's about it. Continue on.
Thank you, sir.
Love your show, and I'll continue listening.
You're very kind. You're very, very kind. Thank you, Joe. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. I'm not sure where Marianne went. Marianne in Indiana, come back. And I just want to acknowledge, I'm going to keep it confidential, but I want to acknowledge, Marianne, I got your message. So, confidentially, I got your message. And very interesting. And maybe we'll talk back channels about that. Anyway, sorry, not to be cryptic, everyone, but it's great to be in touch. We've got people all over the place over there at TJ McCormack on Twitter, at TJ McCormack on X, Twitter, wherever you call it. Twitter now identifies as X. So, the platform formerly known as Twitter, at TJ McCormack. And, there's a whole crew of the family that gathers there and, expresses themselves. And, Marianne's one of them. And, so it is, 44 minutes past the hour. And we're talking about, some of it. It's interesting. Again, one of those times where I really didn't expect, the conversation to go in this direction. And by the way, it's funny, while we were talking a few minutes ago, we're surrounded, by TV screens here in the studio. We got all these screens on mute and just every news channel is up and a lot of entertainment channels. And one of the channels is set to MSNBC, and I happened to glance over my shoulder and just sort of saw that they're saying that, and this perfect little quasi segue here because I intended to get to this at some point. Big news of the day, of course, yesterday was Mamdani visiting Trump. And, alpha male and beta male. While we're on that subject. Anyway, the MSNBC headline on the lower third said, as they were covering that story, that GOP supporters, Republicans, confused by the amicable appearance they made together. That Republicans were confused. I think Republicans are crystal damn clear that Donald Trump was large and absolutely in charge, and that he was driving that meeting from the time the little anti-Semite showed up at the White House. This guy, I personally know people who served in the New York State Assembly with this idiot. And he's one of the least impressive people that anyone who's met him, they say he's just one of the least impressive, certainly one of the least, if not the least accomplished legislator in New York since he's been there. He's a waste of space. I think he passed one bill, and I don't think that bill became a law. He passed one bill. And all the other things that are now a cliche about him. He's never run anything. He is not going to succeed. And Trump knows that, and Trump knows, and I think Trump threw some verbal elbows right at this guy's head. And I don't think there was anything confusing about at least what I saw today. I saw a seasoned businessman and world leader who has sat with the biggest, the best, the worst, the nastiest, the most impressive human beings on the planet. And an upstart joke of a 33-year-old who has and an anti-Semite who has no business being the mayor of the greatest city in the world, or potentially formerly greatest. Anyway, so I have an idea surrounding Trump and Mamdani. We're going to get to that in the next hour. Next hour is also recovery hour. And when we come back from this break, we're going to talk to Marianne, Peter, Joaquin, and Pamela. We're going to do that when we come back on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack on Red Apple Audio Networks. Zabadoo.
All night long, this is Another Side of Midnight
with TJ McCormack.
77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormack.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC.
Here's TJ McCormack.
Oh man, that's just one of those songs you do not want to end. You just want them to go on and on and on. I love it, I love it, I love it. What's the name of that damn band? I knew that.
It was the Bus Boys. The boys are back in town.
Yep, the Bus Boys. Yeah, they were, that was the song. That was from Beverly Hills Cop.
No, 48 Hours.
Oh, 48 Hours. Sorry, 48 Hours. And they also were like the opening band when Eddie Murphy recorded Delirious. That was the music playing when Eddie Murphy came out. Hey, and if you have not, I don't know if you fellas have seen the documentary about Eddie being Eddie. Gang, I've said it, and I've quoted Jerry Lewis so many times on this. It's one of my favorites. It's something that I identify. I identify as such. Jerry Lewis has said, and I have embraced this quote, that you can teach funny, you can talk about funny, you can give theory about comedy, you can teach somebody how to do comedy timing. I'm going to sneeze. No, I'm not. I'm going to sneeze just when I hit the good part of this. And, what he says is, though, he said you can teach it, you can talk about theory with comedy, but there's people who have funny bones. Everything they do is funny. Funny is their MO, it's their delivery system, it's their comfort blanket. That's me. I mean, it's a bit presumptuous for me to dub myself as having funny bones. But all of those things, those accompanying descriptions, that is me. Eddie Murphy is absolutely in the slightly expanded Holy Trinity, if you will. If you could have like 5 in a Trinity, just to use the metaphor of the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, Eddie Murphy is at any given moment one of them in comedy. And it's on Netflix, right? The Netflix doc, Being Eddie Murphy, is a must watch. So good. He is. I mean, I know everything about Eddie Murphy, and I did not know what an artist he is. What a Renaissance man Eddie Murphy is. And you think about it, except for like one little blip, and I was living in LA when it happened, except for one little blip, Eddie Murphy, and it was like a paternity thing, like a divorce thing or something like that. Aside from that one little blip, you never heard about Eddie Murphy and any controversy, any negative, any saga, any ugly. Yep, he was something else.
Remember when he picked up that trans in Beverly in L.A.?
I think that's what I'm thinking. Wait, was that him?
That was him.
Because I know it was also Hugh Grant did that too.
Hugh Grant, that was a prostitute. Hugh Grant got caught out there with a prostitute.
Right.
But Eddie Murphy picked up a trans, was giving the trans a ride, something like that.
Wow. Yeah, giving him a ride. Okay. So
we're not going to go there, man.
In a big, long career, that's not bad. And, maybe he was just giving them a lift. I don't know. All right. So anyway, that you got to see the Eddie Murphy. You got to watch it. Watch it this weekend. Watch it. Use it as your sleeping background noise on Thanksgiving if you have. Oh, that's a good one. Ooh, that's right. We were talking about it last week, gang. March of the Wooden Soldiers coming up this Thursday. Woo! All right. So listen, I am sorry. We're going to get to you guys. Pam and Pete and Marianne and Joaquin, don't go nowhere. Actually, very quickly, let me get to Marianne in Indiana. Marianne, good morning, love.
Good morning.
Hi there. Tell me. What did you want to tell me? You came on the line and off the line a couple times. What were you calling up?
I want to suggest Radar Love change.
Okay.
To Macho Man.
Now, is that because I strike you as being a very, very manly, masculine man, or that I could have been a member of the Village People?
No, I don't like the song.
Oh, you just don't like Radar Love?
Yes.
All right. Well, you know what? We'll consider. Do you like? Well, if not Macho Man, did you? A couple times I've played that song. It's called the Ketchup Song.
No.
Have you ever been listening? Or when I played the Ketchup Song? No. Okay. Marianne, tonight I'm going to I'm going to ask the fellas to play the Ketchup Song for you. This is one of my most underrated favorite songs. And yeah, we're going to play it.
Is it annoying?
No, it's not annoying. Stop it. How dare you, Marianne from Indiana, there in Bloomington. All right. Love you, Marianne. Thank you for calling in. I promise, cross my heart. Pamela, Joaquin, Peter, we'll get to you as soon as we come back. Top of the hour. It's Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack on the Red Apple Audio Networks. 1-800-848-9222.
It's Another Side of Midnight. 77 WABC. This is Another Side of Midnight
with TJ McCormack.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC.
Here's TJ McCormack.
Good morning once again. Hello, welcome back. It's Another Side of Midnight with me, TJ McCormack, here on the Red Apple Audio Networks all around the United States of America and all around the world on WABCRadio.com. And there you go. You can go over to Twitter and catch up with some of the family there. You got everybody over there on Twitter. So go say hi at TJ McCormack, at TJ McCormack. And, oh man, I lost that thing. So so tomorrow night, I don't think I have it. I had the beginnings of something that I wanted to do for you guys. And I don't know where it is. Is that it? Yes. Okay. So yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll get to it this hour. It's, it's something that I think I was inspired by the somewhat cordial. Yeah, it was very cordial. The cordial meeting between Mamdani and Trump. I had an idea. And I think we'll try to get to it, this hour. Also this hour, if you're so inclined, and this time of year, you never know, when it comes to, people like me who are raging alcoholics, but by the grace of God, don't drink anymore. This is every Saturday morning we, lean into the 4:00 hour here on the East Coast, the last hour of the show. And if anybody has any burning desires, any thoughts, concerns about addiction in their life or in the life of a loved one, someone is powerless over alcohol or drugs or gambling or spending or sex or whatever, and their lives are unmanageable, happy to talk about it. We've had people call up and talk about hoarding and those sorts of issues. Their lives are unmanageable because they're powerless over a compulsion or an addiction. So 1-800-848-9222. You are more than welcome to call up and broach that subject. Or you can just message me on Twitter. Ask me to follow you back, and then you can send me a direct message, and I'm happy to commiserate over there as well. So there you go. All right. Let's get to these phones as promised. I do not want to leave y'all hanging any more than y'all need to. Let's get over to, Pamela. Good morning, Pamela.
The men in a women's locker room is really a social political movement to destabilize our society and make us more pliable, just like they did after World War I in Germany. And if you have a weakened society, it's easier to take over. And the side effect, though, is that sometimes a pervert is just a pervert. And they're hiding behind the civil rights.
Yes.
Of the movement.
100%.
And, and using that as a cover.
Absolutely.
And, I'm friendly with the manager of a laundromat.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's really, as a female growing up, sometimes, you're naive and you learn.
Yeah.
You learn about the little tricks that usually men, not always.
Yeah, but usually,
It affects boys too, but females are always under, you have to be careful out there because there's
What's the laundromat angle?
Okay, well, I'm friendly with the manager, and she, we talk, and one day we're talking, and her eyes go right past me. And, just when you think you can't learn, certain things or be aware of things, and you think, oh, a laundromat, innocent, right? Yeah. And she goes, well, wait a minute, I'm watching this guy. I said, why, what's he doing? She said, no, he comes in here, and women's underthings disappear. So I'm keeping an eye on him. So that made me more aware. And then I took notice that men, many times, a lot of men, young men, don't work anymore. So they come in with their whole families to do laundry. And a lot of them, quite a few actually, sit directly across from the washing machine so that they can watch the women bend over. Like they won't get out of your way. And I'm thinking, geez, just when you think you've learned all the tricks of the trade, there's another way for pervs to be pervish.
And listen, if you're a dude listening to this and you're just writing that down, put down a pen and stop it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't worry, they learn. They know what they're doing.
Oh my God. All right, Pamela. Thank you, love. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. That's fascinating stuff. And you're so right. Listen, there are look, it's an addiction. Perverts. That's an interesting little connection there. An alcoholic, a drug addict, a gambler, gambling addict. They're always looking for that angle to get that next drink, make that next bet, get that next hit. Always looking for that angle. And a sex addict, a true pervert, a sex addict, will absolutely be well aware of what is available to them in terms of legal statutes and laws and local availabilities for their proclivities to go see women's. I stopped that rhyme. And, do not be fooled. These creeps are absolutely waiting for laws like this thing or for like policies like this one in New Jersey to come to a women's spa near them. Guaranteed. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's get over to Joaquin. Joaquin, coming to you early in this program, sir. Good morning.
Hey. Good evening, TJ Maxx. Hey,
hi.
You know, real quick before I get to the meat and potatoes,
sure.
You know what? Tony and Matt, they missed out on high karate.
High karate. That fragrance.
And then there was Brill Cream, a little dab will do you, and all the girls will pursue you.
Oh,
and
funny.
Aqua Velva, I don't know when I hit upon this one. When, you know, I did a lot of physical outside work and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to always carry a bottle of Aqua Velva when it was hot outside.
Yes.
Because nothing felt so good.
Yeah.
As taking an Aqua Velva when you're all sweated up and dousing yourself in it.
I started using that when I lived in Florida, and it was like a swamp, and working on cruise ships. And yeah, Aqua Velva was kind of like a go-to, not for going out at night, but like you're saying, kind of like during the day, cooling off. Aqua Velva really did do the trick. Yeah, it was very refreshing. You're right. Wow.
Now, you know, to get to the meat and potatoes, I got to say, Silas was right on the money. I would say he was very succinct in the way he put it.
Yes.
Disturbing the order.
Yes.
And, you know, a lot of all of this stuff really comes back to the show that you never did that you said you were going to do about Senator Joe McCarthy.
Yes. Oh my God. That's all the way back in the beginning of this program. Damn it. I've got to do that. I tell you what I keep bumping into. I'll tell you the problem. I haven't forgotten about it, and it's not for lack of trying. There is like 1 or 2 or 3 guests that are really, I don't want to compromise. I really want to get one of these 3 to come on. And it's been like really tough to book just the right guest for this. And I've got them in my line of sight. It's just been real difficult to book them. But you're right. I've been talking about that for months, and I've got to do that show.
That's where all these problems are coming from, because when they infiltrated us in the 50s, you know, and basically they hit the educational system. They hit that in the media, you know, entertainment.
Yep.
And, you know, the thing of it is that all of this, you know, when you talk about these issues with women, right, and they support all this trans stuff, well, guess what? Women are highly educated. And the problem is that the educational system has become such an indoctrination, you know, and there's another show that says basically you send your baby girl off to college, you know, she's going to come back totally different than what you sent her off as, you know, and it's the truth of the matter. And think about this. Who the heck are these freaking judges who are sitting there and passing these, you know, these findings saying that it's okay that these trans guys can go into the women's locker rooms? I mean, they're totally destroying anything that has to do with women and girls. And it's these judges. And again, where do these judges come from? They come from this leftist indoctrinated educational system. The whole legal system has now been, you know, even the lawyers, you know, and particularly the judges. I mean, these aren't jury trials as far as I understand these lawsuits.
No.
This is judges who are passing this stuff.
Yep. 100%, man.
And it all goes right back to the educational system that's indoctrinating our kids. And as somebody else pointed out, unfortunately, you know, all these communists and all these, you know, they go right for the school boards, you know. And
yeah, that was me. That's what I was saying. That's what's happened in my town. We've got at least one person that is really probably, if they are planting people, if this crazy conspiracy theory that Soros or some other sources are planting these people and transplanting them into particularly targeted towns. Like my town is a Republican town, majority, not by a lot, not as much as it used to be, but it is. And if that really is happening, I really might have one of them in my town, and he's on the school board right now.
Well, and it's a fact. I mean, the Soros, you know, and these people, they're planting the DAs, you know, and then of course they're trying to plant mamdamis all over the country.
Right.
And I mean, this is not a joke. And unless we take back our educational system, this is where I do have a problem with President Trump. You know, when when we really need to stop these foreigners from coming in, and if our colleges collapse, these universities, that might be really in our best interest at this moment right now, because what they're doing is destroying the fabric of our society.
Indeed. Thanks, Joaquin, as always, buddy. Thank you. Let me get over to Chris and Bethpage, line 1. Chris, good morning.
Hey, TJ.
Hi there.
You're talking about addictions, okay?
Yes.
So I'm 62.
Uh-huh.
I've had a couple of addictions in my life. Gambling was one of them. Thankfully, my brother was a bookie, which didn't help. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So luckily he was a bookie, because anybody else, I'd probably be dead by now.
Wow.
So, you know what I mean? Like, he cut me a big break, told me never gamble again, and that's I didn't have to go for classes or anything like that, but that happened a while ago. But I do have an addictive personality.
Okay.
It's weird, and you never know how it's going to manifest itself in what way.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you something that's bizarre that's going on now.
Okay.
So you ever go on TikTok?
I have. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you ever seen some of these sites, these anti-Trump sites? Like what happens is you go on there and you can request up and talk to them as they put you up on like what they call a panel. It's always the leader in all these sites is always asking you, do you regret your vote for Trump? And then
right.
Like,
yes. Yes, I have seen these. Okay.
This is a bizarre addiction that I have now that I'm not kidding around. It's mentally disturbing. So what happens is you go on there, and I support Trump.
Sure.
And I always come up, and they always ask you, do you still support him, and why? And then I always tell them why. Financially, I always say, I like his economic policies. And I always go on there trying to have a discussion, which is always why they request you to come up there. But what they always do then is they mute you, and then they just start really ripping into you, calling you an idiot, calling Trump an idiot. And then by the time they unmute you to respond, you try to get a word in. And then other people on the panel will go, you're selfish, this and that.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this, Chris. Let me ask you. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm just curious. So you said, now, are you concerned that this is like a genuine, legit addiction for you, or is it something that you're more or less obsessing on? Is it a fleeting thing? This is what the parameters are, or the criteria rather, the criteria for me and most addicts is the language that we use in 12 steps, which is are you powerless over these TikTok feeds, and is your life unmanageable because you watch them too much? Is your life unmanageable at this point because of these feeds?
Yeah, a lot of times it has become that way.
Really?
Let me tell you. Yeah, it's weird. I know it sounds nuts when I'm saying
No.
So 6 weeks ago is when I started doing it. All right, I found it good. So what happened was after like 5 of these sessions, let's call them, of talking to these people, I deleted the TikTok app. I deleted it. Okay, because I'm like, I can't do this, because I would be on there for hours, hours scrolling down.
When's the last time you did this? Yeah, you sound like you love it, scrolling down. When's the last time you did this, Chris?
Last night.
Oh, so you reinstalled it.
Exactly. See, this is what happened.
It's like you poured the booze down the drain, and then you went to the liquor store and bought more booze.
Yeah. So what'll happen is my daughter belongs to TikTok, and she'll just send me something nice that's TikTok related.
Right.
So then I'll open up the app again. Then I see the app open, and I'm like doing nothing, okay, as all addicts do, out of boredom. I'll go on it.
Yeah.
Like I did. And then guess what? I'll be on it for 3 hours, just arguing with people.
Chris, you know what, dude? I got to take this break, but when we come back from the break, you make sure you stay on the line. I'll tell you what I'm thinking, and not that I'm gonna judge you or whatever. But when we come back from the break, please stay on the radio and listen. Everybody, thank you, Chris. 1-800-848-9222. When we come back, talk to Peter, Bobby, and Donna here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack on the Red Apple Audio Network.
All night long, this is Another Side of Midnight
with TJ McCormack.
77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormack.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC.
Here's TJ McCormack.
Good morning, family. Good morning, family. Good morning, family. Over there on Twitter, on X, at TJ McCormack, we've got Florida at the races chiming in with his take with his vote for skin bracer aftershave and the original polo are always winners. But I tell you, that original polo, tell you why I cannot stomach the original polo. Because there was a guy at my all-boys Catholic high school who had proper B.O. Proper B.O. And he was a big kid. Round. He was a sphere. He was a circle. He could have been used as an example of a circle in geometry. When Sister Eileen and Sister Eileen Fagan was her name, Sister Eileen, she was 4'8" if she was 4 feet tall. 4'8", little, with an incredible Bronx accent and a slight lisp. And she taught not geometry, but geometry. Gentlemen, in geometry, it's very straightforward, gentlemen. Geometry is not just pictures, it's mathematics, gentlemen. Is everybody understanding what Sister Eileen was saying? Gentlemen, mathematics is not just pictures. Okay? There is a rhyme and a reason, gentlemen, to geometry. Geometry. She was magic. And I will never, ever forget, only because of how she spoke. I don't know what the hell. I went to summer school for geometry. But I'll never forget this. This is emblazoned in my skull forever. Gentlemen, a circle is not just a round shape. Gentlemen, why is it round? A circle is a set of connected points in which each point is equidistant from the center. Now, I was sitting in the front of the front row, and Sister Eileen had not just a slightly fuzzy mustache, but she had a slightly fuzzy little chin and just fuzz all over. And I could see it in the light when she would turn her head a little bit. Her face suddenly glistened and glowed, and it was like I took it on a 3D effect because all of a sudden her face, like that, yeah, it would take on like a 3D effect because the sunlight would catch her whiskers. And as she spoke with this slight nun lisp, tiny particles. See, this is where I would lose things. This is why I went to summer school for geometry, because I wasn't listening to what she was teaching me. But I was watching tiny little particles of spit fly off of her little nun tongue out, either all the way out into the air in front of her, or they would just sort of like deposit themselves on her whiskers. Now, she didn't have Joaquin kind of whiskers. If you know, you know. But she had little nun whiskers. How in the sweet feathery Jesus did I get onto this? I have got such attention deficit disorder. Wow, how did I get on that? Anyway, 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And, let's see, let's get over to, and if, by the way, if somebody who is actually paying attention to what I was saying when I came back from the commercial, please remind me what I was talking about before I started impersonating Sister Eileen. Thank you. I'd appreciate it. Let's get over to Peter on line 3. Peter, good morning.
Hi, TJ.
Hi there.
I'm English. And,
whereabouts? Whereabouts are you from?
I was born north of London. I was born in London's in Middlesex.
Oh, okay.
The county of Essex.
Yeah, I was going to say you sound like my dear friend Julia, who is an Essex girl, and she is a florist in central London now. And I'm married to a Scouser. My wife is from Liverpool.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, AWAC, as they say. Suggestion for you.
Yes.
I don't know if you've explored it, but the English comedians from the 70s, a guy called Les Dawson was one of them. Your lovely spouse may know them.
Yes,
Les
Dawson.
Them already.
Yes.
You may be familiar.
Yep, and the two Ronnies and Ronnie Corbett and yep. Oh yes, I'm very familiar. Yeah.
And Leonard Rossiter in I remember the series with Richard Beckinsale, and sad he lost his life at 36, but I'm happy that his Kate was his daughter who made it in acting. It's great. But I'll try and be quick because I can come in on two angles.
Sure.
Had a lot of trouble growing up as a male. Difficulty to be a male. A lot of abuse in the family.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sexual abuse, including me with my father.
Oof.
I don't need to go into the details.
No, of course.
But I'll tell you one thing. What happened was my father was very violent. He was hitting my elder brother. He called me stupid at one. My sister told me he was older. And my mother just had to go to him and threaten him to take him out. And that's the sign of a mother. And he backed off. It was good. But unfortunately he died when I was 9. My eldest brother was 15. There was 5 of us, 4 boys and 1 girl. My mother just said, right, we're going to bring us all up. And it was tough, but we made it. And we were all successful. But what was difficult was, I was an alcoholic between the ages of 17 and 39. I stopped at 39, but it was 93. I was listening to Rod Stewart's Have I Told You Lately? And I regard that, it can be two-way, about a lady or about God. And I just asked God to take away my alcoholism. It took 3.5 months, but once it happened, I was gone. Wow. And I did the program, and it works. It really is. And I admire you for being successful. I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to, as Tom Skerritt in Top Gun goes, I'm not blowing back, sunshine up there, Dubra, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah. But did your lovely wife do? Did she do the O-levels, A-levels in university in Liverpool?
She didn't do university. No, my wife is in the performing arts. My wife is a dancer and an actress and a singer.
Wonderful.
And she went to Tring Performing Arts College in Tring. And she went to Lane's College in just outside of London.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. The dancers are so gifted. I mean, I did ballet at 50, but it's the best workout you can get. But I admire the dancers and what they have to go through and how they have to keep their bodies in such condition.
Yes, which is made for a wonderful marriage, I must say, as we go on. But it is fascinating to. So, did you get sober in England?
No. What happened to me was. I found my life very abusive, and it was difficult. And I'm realizing now that I'm 71, I'm realizing that what I did was I decided that I always wanted to come to America. And you'll laugh at this one. I used to watch Ronan Martin's Laughing.
Oh, wow, sure.
Yeah, because we used to have they used to take out the commercials because BBC was no commercials.
Right.
We used to have it at 9:10 on a Sunday, and I watched it. I thought, is that America? I know it's crazy, but anyway. But I just lifted myself out and started a new life here.
What did you do for a living here?
I got a degree in computing in England, and it was socialism, but I got free education.
Sure.
I respect people, and so I'm not. It saddens me that some of the people coming out now are lumbered with the thing and their degrees. They may not even be able to get jobs. And I'm looking at. Well, I don't want to go off because I know it's on. But anyway, let me stay on track.
Sure.
I tell you what happened was when I reached puberty, I was right. I mean, I had an influence of a babysitter because my mother was trying to get a job to keep us because my father wasn't paying.
Right.
And I went through. And then I had my sister, had to take care of us at home. My mother took care of us. So I had influence of ladies. But my mother was phenomenal. My sister lived a great life. I admire her. We have our differences, but then again, that's just family. And what happened was I had difficulty with intimacy. with ladies. And I tell you, if guys go through it, it's tough because I thought, I had trouble with love. I met there's a girl in England. I lived in a place called Langley near Slough, and I liked this girl a lot. It didn't work out. It just gave me it gave me the go to live in, just come to America, and I never looked back.
Wow. America did right by you, and you did right by America.
I mean,
fantastic.
I'll be quick. As they said, what's the obstacle to the one world government, America? So it's getting hit from inside out and outside in and everything, and that's what's basically.
Wow.
And what a lot of people don't realise is if Trump's doing a phenomenal job, I like him, but I came across people. I've got to be careful here. How could 71 people vote for a person like Harris, who I think is really
I know.
Yeah, I won't go there. I leave it.
Hey, Peter, definitely. Please keep listening and please keep calling. I'd love to hear from you again. All right?
Yeah, you got it, mate.
All the best to you. Thank you so much.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers, mate. There goes Peter from Jersey, from Essex in the UK. Fantastic people over there in Essex, especially. Let's go to Donna in Huntington. Donna, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hi, TJ. How you doing?
I'm good.
No, I just wanted to tell you, in 1988, I just happened to live in Reykjavik, Iceland, for 2 years. I don't know if you know that place. Have you ever been there?
But I've heard of it. I've flown over it many times. Every time I go to England. What were you doing in Reykjavik other than freezing?
Well, it's a long story, but I ended up going there.
Were you herding puffins?
I actually ate one once. I didn't like it though.
You ate a puffin? Are you allowed to eat puffins?
Yeah, they have them in the restaurants there. They even have shark. They have shark, and they also have whale meat too.
Oh, well, okay. Look, of the three, I've heard of shark. I mean, people eat shark here all the time, and there's shark fin soup and all that. But whale, what is this? Like 1749, and puffins. I mean, puffins. Wow. Okay. I just thought I was making a quirky reference to the indigenous birds. So go ahead. Yeah. I'm sorry. So you're there eating puffins.
I have to say whale meat's pretty good. I have to say it tastes like filet mignon.
Really?
Pretty much. Yeah. It does actually.
All right. Well, anyway, go ahead. I interrupted. Go ahead.
All right. But anyway, so they're technically considered Scandinavia, right? But they really don't like to be affiliated with the other Scandinavian countries. They like to feel like they're their own country.
Right.
But anyway, so when I first moved there, what happened was I made friends with somebody there, and then we started dating, and then I said, I'm going to come back and live there for a while, and I did. The guy was like a famous musician. I'm not going to say who he is, but anyway. So.
All right. I'm with you.
He was like the Icelandic version of Mick Jagger, if that even makes sense. But
it does make sense. Icelandic Mick Jagger. Go on.
Yeah.
You're making perfect sense,
anyway,
Donna.
Okay. So while I was living there, at one point I did get a job working in a restaurant. So I was kind of like a sous chef, sort of grill cook, something like that.
All right.
So anyway, the big thing that's in Iceland is swimming is sort of like, I don't know, like a religion there. Like there's swimming pools everywhere.
Oh.
They're all outdoors. They all get heated from the geothermal,
sure, like
in the
springs and stuff. Okay.
Right. They don't even have to use chlorine. I don't know what they do, if they oxygenate, whatever. Sure. But anyway, so the first time I went to these swimming pools there, they're amazing swimming pools, and they have like little hot pots. Mm-hmm. Like one is hotter than the other kind of thing.
Sure.
Like you go in one, it's warm.
Well, it's like a hot springs here in the States. Yeah, I've experienced that.
I guess you could say that. They have hot springs there too, but anyway. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I first went into the swimming pool. You walk into the women's locker room, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is butt naked walking around.
Okay.
And everyone's taking showers together because, like...
co-ed? Are you saying men and women together?
No, not in the locker room, but it was just weird how, like, just even the women, like, naked, walking everywhere.
Yeah,
and, like, you're supposed to take a shower before you go into the pool.
Yeah, it's
or
always
the hot
nice.
tub.
Yes.
So everyone's in this, like, communal shower thing. It's just weird. So that was a little weird for me. Then they had You kind of got used to it, though, because you kind of realize that you look weird if you're not naked like everyone else.
Yes, and I think that's kind of what happens at these Korean spas that we're talking about earlier in the show, the one in New Jersey.
Right.
Yeah.
But they did have saunas there that were like co-ed, like naked co-ed.
Wow.
So it was weird.
That's odd.
I mean, it was weird.
That's certainly not American. How did you adapt to that? Did you and Mick Jagger ever adapt to that?
I guess you could say that. But you know what it is? My opinion is here we're so uptight about nudity. Like over there, being nude or, being naked is not, they don't even equate it like with any sex or anything. Like, you know what I mean?
See, but here's the thing. But here's the thing though. And you know what? This is interesting. And I think I'm about to make a very good point. So everybody just watch out. Here I go. In those surroundings, right? Where everybody's naked and stuff. Kind of like at a nude beach or at a nudist what is frowned upon is overtly sexual activity.
Well, obviously,
right?
I would
so
say,
people don't dig that. In other words, in cultures where it's acceptable, where nudity is acceptable, even in the co-ed, and I think from what I understand, Germany is like this. I think France has its versions of this, but certainly Germany and Scandinavia. And in those surroundings, any sort of untoward either behavior or intent is frowned upon and I think removed. And so when you've got a trans person like the one I was describing at my housing, whatever, my HOA pool, or this, what could be, a result of this thing in New Jersey. This, it is different. It's not just, people are naked and there's a trans guy. This is a trans guy in front of, young girls, in front of tweens and teens. And, we just heard from a guy, from a nice fella from England who had issues, with abuse and this and that. We're talking about introducing something that some kids are not ready to see, and all to make liberals and leftists feel good about themselves being so tolerant of people with a mental condition.
I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because you know what it is? What I have an issue with, I accept people for who they are, but what I have an issue with all that kind of thing is, if some man, right, decides one day that he doesn't feel like a man and he wants to become a woman, I don't have any problem with that. But like, the problem I have is if some of these guys are saying they're women, but they don't actually have the operation to cut their 3-piece set off and turn it into, woman's, what?
Yeah.
So how can you say you're completely a woman if you don't actually have that operation?
Exactly. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Donna in Huntington. You're the best. Thank you. By the way, I just remembered what got me onto that tangent impersonating Sister Eileen. Whew, thank God. For people with ADHD, if anybody out there is like me, and I have not been formally diagnosed, but clearly my going off onto a tangent about Sister Eileen Fagan and doing an impersonation of her when I started talking about cologne and a stinky dude in my high school class. Okay? When you have ADHD, like I know I do, isn't it such a relief to find your way back to the path? Isn't it such a relief to find that trail of popcorn and find where the hell you were headed from and where you were going? Woof! Because if you don't, that's a distraction in and of itself. You'll spend 45 minutes going, what the hell was I doing? Yeah. Have you ever done that? You ever been on like Instagram, or you've been, scrolling through your socials and you find yourself going off down a rabbit hole and you have to start going back and looking at everything that's on your phone to find out where you were headed in the first place? Yes, me too. Anyway, what I was saying was the original polo. Yes, I found my way all the way back. the original polo, I have an aversion to it because this chubby dude with a stanky problem at Stepanak High School in White Plains. Yeah, he used to not wear deodorant, but he would wear polo and he'd put it on. He carried it in his book bag. He would put it on in class. And that combined with his stank. Now when I smell Ralph Lauren polo, all I can smell is my buddy's stank. And he passed away. And so I feel kind of bad. But not as bad as I do when I smell Ralph Lauren polo. All right. It is just about time to take our last break of the morning. And when we do, we'll come back and we'll talk to Baba and we'll talk to Mike in Carolina. Mr. Bungo. No, I'm sorry, not Mr. Conga. All right. We shall return in a moment. This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack on the Red Apple Audio Networks, 1-800-848-9222.
All night long. This is Another Side of Midnight
with TJ McCormack.
77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormack.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC.
Here's TJ McCormack.
10 minutes remaining in our program this morning here on Red Apple Audio Networks. I'm TJ McCormack. This is Another Side of Midnight, and I'm grateful all y'all are there. Very, very, very grateful. And so we had more votes for like Menon, and we had what was it? Not Menon, but Skin Bracer by Menon. That was the jingle. Skin Bracer by Menon. Brute by Fabergé. That was Joe Namath, I think, was the spokesman for Brute by Fabergé. Yeah. Anyway, so we're talking about that stuff. And stinky dudes who would wear the cologne as a mask, as a pore mask to cover their stankiness. That was awful. Anyway, so going into tomorrow's show, we're going to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. And, you know, it kind of occurred to me that, you know, your grateful list is kind of an upside and a downside. The things that you're grateful for, very often somebody else is paying the price on the other end. You know, you're kind of happy about, you know, like what's good for you could mean somebody else coming up short. So, you know, I'm kind of guilt free. I'm a selfish bastard. I'm happy. I'm grateful. Matter of fact, the other day there was I was actually, yeah, you know what? It was Wednesday and I was in the city, doing a TV hit, and I also had to come here for a meeting, and I came here to the studios, the offices of 77 WABC in New York, and for a quick meeting. And as I was crossing 3rd Avenue, I was almost hit by one of the armada of, I don't know what the hell, I don't know if it was a food delivery or just some jackass on a bike flying down 3rd Avenue, up 3rd Avenue. And, I followed that person's progress as they continued up 3rd Avenue, and I was hoping they'd get hit by a car. Not proud to say it. I'm just being honest. And I'm not being cute either. I did. I was watching in hopes that and you know why? Not because I wanted them to be injured, but because it was literally like a hair's breadth from being totally smashed by this bike. And my thought was, if they can get hit by something before they hit someone, good. And I would have been grateful if that happened. But there's a downside to that. somebody would have gotten hit by a bus. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So I hope they didn't hit anybody as the day went on. So there you go. Anyway, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about family coming over, a couple of typical things about Thanksgiving. Also, y'all can catch me, just in case, y'all can catch me on Fox News on, Fox and Friends on, Wednesday morning before Thanksgiving. I'll be there delivering my annual, I don't know if you know this, but, I do other things there, but, at least once a year, I am there for Thanksgiving. Sometimes we do a similar hit on New Year's. But I will be there Wednesday morning before Thanksgiving with the top political turkeys. Get it? The top political turkeys. Top political turkeys of 2025. I'll be there on this coming Wednesday morning on Fox and Friends to do the top political turkeys of 2025. So there you go. You get to see my cuteness in all of its physical, literal glory. Right, let's rifle through this real quick. Let's get over to Bobby in Maine. Real quick, Bobby, hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hi, TJ.
Hi.
Old Spice, Holston, hi, Karate. And you're right about society. I just tell people, go out there, enjoy yourselves. It's over. Look at this guy, man, Danny. He's a communist. They're all over the country now. They let him in the country. And I know Mike is waiting. I'm going to introduce Mike. Mikey.
All right, let's go to Mike. I like that. We'll go to line one of Mike. Let's talk to Mike in Carolina. There you go. Look at that. I love this. I've got kind of a tag team thing going here. Mikey, good morning.
Hey, TJ, was that a rim shot I just heard from that guy?
Yes, he was introducing you. You're being honored by your fellow listeners.
I'll tell you, I was laughing my ass off earlier listening to you.
Yeah.
I spent 12 years Catholic school, grammar school, high school.
Yep.
And when you were talking about that nun.
Yep, Sister Eileen.
My buddy Mike sent me a picture of this nun, and I started to shake because she would take a metal rule out of a habit, somewhere in a habit, and she would, not hit you softly. Michael, she'd crack my knuckles. Boom. In the back of the neck. Boom.
Oh,
and
brutal.
Oh, yeah.
And they got away with it.
And
they got away with it.
That's right. I'd like to talk a little about, addictions, of course.
Sure.
And, you've given so many people help over the radio that I've heard.
Thank you.
And I've given people help over the years.
Yes.
Any kind of an addiction. I was a bit of a gambler back in the day. I didn't blow my mortgage payments, but you're playing the ponies.
It's nasty. It's scary. You could have, yeah.
Yeah. And I was saying to my man that picked up the phone, Eddie Murphy is one of the best.
Oh, God, yes.
I grew up on Long Island. I saw him at a comedy club. I think he was 18.
East Side Comedy. Probably East Side Comedy Club. Or, probably East Side out in,
Okay. This was a joint in Long Island.
Right.
And just before he started Saturday Night Live at age 19. And he's got a book out, just being Eddie.
Right.
And speaking of addictions, that interview you did, and I've heard so many with Charlie Sheen. Hey, Charlie, you're lucky to be alive. Okay.
Yes.
You dodged a couple of bullets, man. You dodged quite a few bullets.
Yep.
So just think about, one day at a time, one step at a time, I tell people. And do what you got to do. So I'm in my vehicle right now.
All right.
I'm going to leave you with a little bit of a
ba-boom. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, buddy. We'll probably talk to you tomorrow. And let's real quick. I don't want to leave you hanging there, Pete. Line 2. Good morning. Tell me about God's goodness.
Yeah, hi there, TJ.
Hi.
All libertine people and all people should also know the big thing that God is so good and generous that if people insist, He will permit them to have their paradise here in this life, and then later they'll be permanently dismissed from paradise in the next. So He's merciful and generous. If you insist, He'll let you do what you want.
All right, Pete, you just brought us home succinctly and on the money. Thank you, gang. Thank you so much for indulging and letting us take this show in some really interesting directions. It's all because of you. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Bill. You guys are the best. I love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, I wish you all the luck in the world.
It's Another Side of Midnight, 77 WABC.